Commercial Construction Coffee Talk fans. Thanks for chiming in. My name's David Corson. I'm the publisher of Commercial Construction and Renovation magazine. Thanks for finding us on the web. Really appreciate you tuning in. And, hopefully you're a subscriber. And we're glad that you found some time to come in and find us on the podcast channel and all that good stuff. Hopefully everybody had a great weekend. You're staying safe out there. Wash your hands. Don't touch your face. All that good stuff. Staying cool out here. It's about 100 degrees here in hot Atlanta. Believe me, it's hot and muggy. And hopefully the thunderstorm rolling in here won't knock us off the power here, because I know there's a big boomer. I looked at the radar before we came in on the web, and it's coming. So hopefully we'll get through this. In any event, we've got a great show tonight. Going to talk to a contractor out in the West Coast. He's got a really cool safety process that we're going to discuss. Let's introduce him right now. His name is Kyle Peacock, and his company is called Peacock Construction. He just took over for his father, Bill, who is retired. They've been in business 35 years. Say hi, Kyle.
Hi, David. How are you? And thanks for having me.
Welcome to Commercial Construction Coffee Talk. It's great to have you. And our normal gig is you got to tell your story, and you can't leave any skeletons in there. So with that said, Kyle, tell us about yourself, where you grew up, where you went to school, childhood memories, all that good stuff, how you got into construction, and then we'll continue on. Fair enough?
Sounds good.
All right, Kyle, let her rip.
All right. Well, going all the way back, my dad, Bill, started Peacock Construction in 1982. So I've been around construction my entire life, whether it was going out to the job sites with him, being around the guys in the field, or helping him out around the house. I learned how to push a broom at a very early age. He had me cleaning the shop when I was, that was my first job. And,
are you only child, or do you have any brothers or sisters?
No, I have an older sister. She got into construction law, funny enough. So she tells us scary stories every now and then.
Oh yeah. It's always good to have a lawyer in the family. I don't care what
It is. It's free legal help, so it works. I helping my dad.
Broom?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I said you were pushing the broom. Right.
Oh yeah, pushing the broom. So, I was helping out around the shop when I was young, and I really didn't think about pursuing construction professionally. Just helping my dad out as a laborer in his company. I ended up going to the University of San Diego and getting a business degree. And for some reason, I thought I wanted to get into finance. I don't know why. And while I was looking for a job, I went back to being a laborer at Peacock Construction, and they drugged me into the office and started having me run plans, then permits, and started having me estimate and run small jobs. And then I landed a job at Boston Properties, which is a large building owner nationally.
Mm-hmm.
And they own a bunch of buildings in San Francisco, including lately they developed the Salesforce Tower. So I worked with them as a construction manager for a while, hiring companies like Peacock Construction and some of their competitors. And I really got a good insight in what our clients like and what our clients want from a company like Peacock Construction. And I got to see what all those other competitors do and all the wonderful things they're doing. And it wasn't just Peacock Construction that was the greatest contractor around. And so I worked with them for a couple of years, and then I called my dad and see if he wanted me back, and thankfully he did. So I joined Peacock as a project manager back in 2007. And so I ran projects for them for about 5 years, and then my dad was getting ready to retire. And so I started, we'll call it CEO training at that point.
Sure.
And so I got to learn that side of the business from him. And he officially retired in 2013. And I've been going ever since. And it's been a lot of fun. I'm very glad I got into the construction business. I'm very glad I didn't get into the finance business. I'm sure it's a wonderful career, but it wasn't for me. And just building things and being able to see the physical result of your hard work has always been a lot of fun. And working with all the people in the industry, all the long-term partnerships we've worked hard at creating and continuing to maintain, even through what we're currently going through. I mean, that's what makes it worth coming in every day.
Oh yeah, well, it's a battle every day. Listen, my family's in construction. They're in construction recycling since 1888, and when I grew up, all the grandsons, once you got your license, I was out of Philadelphia, right outside of Philadelphia. All the grandsons, once you got your driver's license, you had to go into the scrapyard and work. And so when I turned 16, I burnt acetylene torch, I shoveled asbestos, I railed railroad ties, was working at all that. So I can totally appreciate the family gig where, I mean, I was down when I was growing up down in the scrapyard, getting in the cranes and all that stuff at a very young age. So I can totally appreciate, that bringing up of being around all that stuff, even though they, right now, all my cousins, they're still running the business. It's like fourth generation. I'm in construction. I'm just not, I'm not doing it, but I'm in that sector. It's funny how I ended up in it. So, and it's funny you said about finance. A couple podcasts ago, there was another guy who went to school for finance, and now he's back doing concrete polishing. So
Great.
the same story. There you go. He's like, I went to school for finance. I was went on Wall Street. He's like, oh man, this is not for me. So I was like, deja vu. And he's working for a family business too. So
okay, good. I'm not the only one. That does make me feel better.
Yeah. Well, it's funny that no one pushes anybody to go anywhere, but it's funny how you can be brought up and it kind of sits in the back there, and you don't know how subliminally you're getting, groomed and so forth. Then you go and do something else, and then you come back. And probably one of the best things you did was that you actually went and worked for Boston Properties and saw how an end user actually treats vendors and saw that side of it. You don't know how many brands or people that I've been around 20 plus years with my magazine. And so many people I've seen them try to be that are an end user that would jump to the vendor side, or the vendor jump to the other side, and they see how each one it gets treated, and it gives you a totally different perspective of how really business should be done versus just being one-sided. And it can it's a mind-blowing eye-opener. And I can always tell when people are, I'm like, only so many of them a lot of the end user brands will go over to the vendor side and they'll jump back, versus the vendors who will go to the end user side and stay there. But that going to Boston Properties, that was probably one of your biggest assets that you could have done in running your company, in my opinion. So
yeah, I still draw on those experiences. I still have a relationship with a lot of them, and I mean, I couldn't have picked a better company. I mean, it's a great organization, and they are always at the leading edge of what's happening in real estate. So
you do commercial, you do healthcare, any other sectors in there?
Nope, those are the main two sectors. We are pushing into biotech as well. That's in the beginning right now, but we'll be there next.
Well, listen, pharmaceutical, biotech, medical, it's all going to be booming. We used to have a healthcare magazine called Healthcare Building Ideas, and I sold it. We merged everything into commercial construction, but healthcare, it's like building everything else, except you've got infection control, and you got the administrators to deal with, and the projects take a little bit longer because there's a lot more red tape that's involved with a healthcare project versus building a Starbucks. And nothing against those guys or so forth, but still roof, drywall, floor, security, just a little more different than. And healthcare, they're almost like hotels, but they're healthcare facilities. So I can appreciate the healthcare side of things. Let's talk about COVID. So January comes in, everything's rolling, championship game's over, cranes are up all over the country, things are building. March comes, boom, shut down. What was it like out on the West Coast?
We were in full ramp up mode. Usually the first quarter, just because of the way our clients' capital budgets work, is our slow quarter year on year. And right late February, March is when our clients are sending out RFPs and really, really moving and wanting to get things done. And that's exactly what we were seeing. I mean, we've been very fortunate with the run we've had, and it was looking like another one of those years.
Mm-hmm.
And our clients, there was no talk of slowdown. And really, I would say early March is when people started talking about it and thinking this may affect us. And we started talking the real concern, and what we were discussing was, hey, what's happening in China and how's that going to affect our supply chain?
Mm-hmm.
And what other parts of our supply chain may be affected? That was the major concern. It was nothing like what actually happened. And then come March 16th, the mayor of San Francisco announced, and then all the Bay Area counties announced that there was a shelter in place.
Mm-hmm.
And we had to very quickly figure out what that meant, and was construction part of that? And it was for everything except essential projects.
Yeah, I was going to say you're essential. You're healthcare. You probably like, woo!
Well, and that's what we said is, hey, okay, we're essential. And there was some confusion on the state level because that had considered construction essential, but effectively the counties overrode that. And so we did have a few jobs going, but not a lot. We didn't have a ton of healthcare work going at the time. And so, I mean, revenues were down almost 90% from 1 month to the next. And we were at an absolute standstill. And it was just really the first 2 weeks were spent trying to figure out what was going on and what was going to happen. Initially, it was a 3-week shelter in place. So, okay, we can survive for 3 weeks. We'll figure this out. And then it obviously got extended again. And going, okay, when are we going to be able to open? What was really nice about being able to do the healthcare project during that time was we had a resource in our client, and the healthcare organizations we work for out here are the leaders in their industry in terms of medical thinking. The UCSFs of the world, Kaiser, Sutter Health, and so we were able to tap their knowledge on, hey, what type of protocol should we be using on the job site? And so we were able to get guidance from them in a fairly quick manner on these projects on how we needed to be socially distancing, wearing masks on the site, and then the screening protocol, and then just understanding how a job needs to be sequenced so that people can properly socially distance. You don't have a bunch of guys stacked into a small space. So that was very helpful in terms of getting an understanding on May 4th, construction in the Bay Area was legal again, all construction. And so then it was another ramp up to get going everywhere. And, we felt like we had a head start because we'd been doing all this stuff, and basically what the hospitals were telling us to do mirrored what the county requirements were, which then kind of mirrors and aligns with what the CDC requests. And so we were able to take all of what we learned and then push that out to all our jobs. The ramp up wasn't perfect, I'll say. Trying to get all your jobs going from zero is a little difficult, but we got through it. And it was an interesting time during the shelter in place, just because all of this COVID protocol was we were required to develop our COVID protocol, and then the buildings we work in had their COVID protocol.
Mhm.
And all the contractors, a lot of them were competitors, were more than willing to share ideas during the time. It was one of the rare times where your competitors and you were talking, because we had one goal: get open again. How do we get back into business? And everyone was on the same page of, hey, whatever it takes,
Mhm.
And so there was a lot of sharing of ideas during that time. And hey, what are you doing here? And so we were able to bounce ideas off each other, and our clients were doing the same thing. All of them were asking, hey, what's your COVID protocol? Hey, what are you seeing out there? Because they were in the dark as much as we were,
Oh yeah.
which made for an interesting couple weeks there. What was that, about 6-8 weeks of the Bay Area being shut down for construction, except essential projects.
See, you're a regional contractor, but if you're a national contractor, you would be amazed at the war stories that I've heard. That if you did a project, once again, I'm not hitting on any states, but if you did a job, let's say in Pennsylvania, and you were doing a DOT project out on the highway, it was great. You were outdoors, there was plenty of space, you didn't have to deal with social distancing. But if you were doing a TI project in a mall in Pennsylvania and you were doing a plumbing or electrical where guys had to be, that job wasn't going to happen because there was just too many regulations. But if you went next door or up north, completely different. So it really depended on what state you were in and what the regulations were. Here in Georgia, I had several projects that were going on. They weren't essential, but they were still building. But all the bars, the restaurants, the essential stuff was open. But the construction projects, they basically made them. Most of them were essential, and they just kept them cruising right along. The toughest thing was if someone got COVID, they had to shut the site down, disinfect everything, bring it back up. So a lot of the contractors, some said, "Screw it, I'm just done. I'm just going to wait this thing out because it's more expensive than shutting it down, reopening than shutting it down. Even if you put all the protocols, the hand washing stations, the different types of scheduling that goes on. So it was a crapshoot depending on where you were in the country. So it was probably beneficial that at least where you were out there on the West Coast, in your little bubble per se, that you knew what everything was, that you actually, okay, I know you weren't having any surprises that, oh, well, if I go over here, I can't do that, but I can get it done over in this state.
Yeah. I mean, the rules were, for the most part, at least in the Bay Area counties, the same. The challenges, and I did hear that from some of the larger contractors, just going county to county in California, they were dealing with different rule changes, and so trying to figure those out. Yes, it was definitely a challenge. I don't know if it would have been possible with everybody going full speed at the time.
So you put into place, you have a safety site check-in procedure that you put in place with your projects. Discuss that with our listeners.
Okay, yeah. So safe site check-in. One of the requirements is that we pre-screen all job site visitors. Doesn't matter who it is. They have to answer a series of questions. Have you had a COVID test, or are you awaiting results? Have you traveled internationally? And all those questions basically came from the hospitals we were working with, and they align with a lot of what the CDC requests. And so we're required to pre-screen. Additionally, we're required to log their name, number, email, address, and company. And that's in the mandates.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in the beginning, just to do it in the hospitals, they were requiring it. We were using paper, just because you got to get it done somehow. And so
Right. Mm-hmm.
the quickest way in the beginning is a piece of paper. And then it was, we need a better way to do this. We got 45 job sites. This is going to be a paperwork nightmare. And So we talked to an app developer, and Safe Site Check-in came out of that, and they worked with us to get this thing going. And what you do is walk up with your smartphone to the job site, and there's a QR code. You scan the QR code, and that takes you to Safe Site Check-in, and it takes you to that specific job. From there, you enter everything that's required: name, number, email, and so on. And then you answer the pre-screening questions. If you answer them all correctly and you agree to wear the proper PPE on the job, then it'll let you in. It'll say entry granted.
Yeah, give you the green check. You're good to go.
Yes, exactly. And you can go on their website now and try it out. It's very simple. One of the things we were talking about is this has got to be incredibly easy to use. There can't be a training period.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of software applications require training of some sort or another, and it was just, hey, this has got to be incredibly intuitive, where anybody can walk up and scan that QR code.
Just like Zoom. Hey, you click on, there you are. Pretty much.
Just like Zoom. Very simple. And they worked hard to do that. And when we did 3 initial jobs as test sites, and the rollout went really well there. There was feedback, nothing crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And then they rolled it out to all our jobs. And anytime you're rolling something out to your entire company, there's a little bit of a worry. Hey, what's the adoption like? Are there going to be major problems? And the stress level was a little higher just because of COVID. This has to work. I don't want anybody sick on our job sites.
No.
I want them all to be safe. And I don't want to get shut down. No one does. Nobody on site, our clients, us. And so here we are, we roll this thing out, and the feedback was great. This is saving us.
How many of the other contractors locally use the app?
Oh, I believe they are up to 10 right now with a bunch of inquiries. Interestingly, there are some national companies using it. Mm-hmm. So they've gotten traction throughout the country. I heard Dallas was one of them, Colorado, Tennessee, I believe one in either New York or Connecticut, that area. So they're getting traction everywhere. There's these requirements they're finding are all over, not just a Bay Area standard. So the other thing that's nice is the log. It's created, and that's electronic. There's
it's kept on the cloud. Your phone. I did a podcast maybe a week ago. Marketing guy. The phone is the most powerful tool that you can have, and if you can do it on your phone, you're in, because everybody has one, and they all know how to basically run it. So whether you're Android or Apple, whatever, it's the most amazing tool ever. And who wants to do red tape anyway with filling out paper? I mean, those are the old days of doing things. So if you have a technology in the app and it's simple, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel, and everybody can get checked in, that sounds awesome. All the contractors out there listening, what's it called again?
Safe Site Check-in.
There you go. We just ran a banner on our email blast the last couple of weeks. So if you go back there, you can see them. If not, you can reach out to us. Then we'll give our contact info and we can set you up with that. But it sounds like something that every contractor across the country should take a look at, just to streamline your check-in process with your subs coming in, on the job. Because like Kyle said, we don't want anybody getting sick. We want to get the work done. So coming out of the pandemic, you're working now. Things have picked up, correct?
It has. Commercial deals and lease transactions in the office buildings are a little slow right now. Everyone is in a holding pattern, to say, and so it's a little bit of wait and see. And usually the summer's slow for lease transactions and a lot of those types of activities for the commercial real estate side, which really drive our business at Peacock.
Mhm.
And so we're waiting to see when that's going to get going again. I mean, we've been hearing a little bit more, some more deals happening, but I don't know. I mean, people got to get back.
The commercial real estate market is just like retail. You're not going to recognize it 5 years from now. I mean, with technology, just like we're doing tonight, there are so many companies that found out how much more productive they can be on the web versus having their employees drive in and have these big leases. And the commercial real estate guys that have large portfolios are going to realize that they're not going to keep all those leases, and people are going to work out of their house and not go through rush hour traffic and pay go through the tolls or the mental stuff of going through rush hour and work out of their house. And architects, I've talked to so many people since it started. I work out of my house, so I'm used to it hunkering down. I gave up my office way back when, but the real estate market, they're going to have to find out what else that they can do with that space. That's the American way, ingenuity. They're going to have to figure out what they're going to do with that space, because there are definitely going to be people that are going to break their lease and say, hey, I can be more productive and not have to pay for a $15,000 lease every month, when I can, if I want to have a meeting, I can do it on Zoom, or I can get a hotel room, a meeting room, and do it that way. And I hate to say it like that, but that is reality. Just like some of the retail chains that are closing stores, they were planning on doing that anyway. That's the nature of the beast. They get rid of the dog stores, they build new stores. It's just, this was the pandemic was a catalyst, but it also has improved a lot of things. Technology, you don't have to travel as much. People are learning. Drive-in theaters are coming back. Walmart. I just saw another person that's going to do a drive-through. I think it was one of the hardware chains. You won't even, grocery stores down the road will become showrooms. You're just going to pick up your groceries in the parking lot, and so many stuff. It's amazing in construction what will happen over the next 3 to 5 years, regardless if they get a vaccine or not. Because right now you got to live with the virus. It's not going away. It's there. That's reality. I got to deal with it every day. So. Safety site check-in, correct? That's the
SafeSiteCheckIn.com.
There you go. So all you contractors out there, if you don't have a protocol, we definitely want you to check it, and see if it can help your business become more efficient on the project sites. So kind of ending this, if you wanted to leave one word or thought with our listeners out there that are in construction in general, what would that be?
Oh, right now, be safe out there. I mean, just stay safe, be vigilant, and let's keep those job sites open and everybody working.
Yeah, I always say, I went to my doctor. He said, David, look, wash your hands, don't touch your face, and just be cognizant of your surroundings, and you'll be okay. And it's very touch. Not you touch your face 300 times a day. I mean, it's just it's amazing if you try to count. So that's what I always tell people: just wash your hands. I'm always getting my kid, hey, wash your hands, don't touch your face. If someone wanted to get in touch with you, Kyle, how would they get in touch with you?
Oh, they can email me. Any questions about anything, I'd be happy to answer them. Emails kpeacock@peacockconstruction.com. So any questions about Peacock Construction or SafeSiteCheckIn.com and our experiences with them, I'd be happy to help them out.
Myself, if you want to reach me, you can reach me at davidc@ccr-mag.com. If you're not a subscriber to our magazine, up on the toolbar, there's a subscribe button. Hit that. Do it. You can go right online, subscribe, boom, that'll come right to me, and I'll confirm that we got you, and we'll get you on our mailing list. This podcast, we stream them up on our website. We're on Spotify, Google, and Apple, and we post them every Wednesday, and that's where you can find these. They're available 24/7, 365. Really appreciate your time, Kyle. I know you're a couple hours behind me. I'm glad the thunderstorm didn't knock my power out because I know it's a big boomer coming in here. So I'm glad we beat it in time. And we'll use the water because in Atlanta, hey, it gets hot here. So we need the water. Fill up, keep the lake full. And with that said, Commercial Construction Coffee Talk fans out there, we really appreciate you chiming in. We love to have you as listeners. If you're interested in being a guest or a sponsor or on our program, email me once again at davidc@ccr-mag.com. We're always looking for stuff. If you have any cool projects, we'd love to have them for the magazine and either in our print or digital version. And with that said, Kyle, enjoy the rest of the summer out there. Keep the momentum going. Keep your people safe. And we're going to try to do the same thing here in Georgia. Definitely try to stay school because it's been hot and humid, like I said in the beginning down here. It's the dog days of summer here in the South. And we will see you. Hopefully, I'll get to meet you sometime in person when we get back out on our planes and so forth, hopefully sooner rather than later. And as a construction guy and, brought up in the fam, measure twice, cut once, measure twice, cut once, right? Am I right?
You got
and when
it.
you work for the family, you got to work that much harder because they're going to say, hey, you didn't broom good enough,
Yep, exactly.
I got a good story. My son, he's in FA mechanic school, and he's getting his AMP license, and he gets it in a couple months. He graduates, and he'll go to work for one of the airlines. Anyway, he worked in a garage because he likes cars and motorcycles. And the owner is very tight. He works on all our cars. And I said, look, whatever they do, when you go in there, you're going to be the grunt. You got to start at the bottom. You're not going to start as the president. Okay, so if they ask you to empty the oil cans or sweep or take out the garbage cans, whatever you do it like 120%. You got to do it the best you can. Even if you think it's just, it's just garbage or it's just dust on the floor, you have to do it excellent because that's how you're going to make your way up. So everything you do, you want to do it the best that you can. And that was the one thing that my family always installed in me was like, always do the best that you can. Don't do it half-assed. Excuse my French. Always do it the best because, you never know what you're going to do. I remember we were putting up these sandblasting booths for train cars to get sandblasted and repainted. And I had done these welds and my grandfather came in and the superintendent said, hey, David, you got to go up on top of the sandblasting booth and undo the overhead crane. I'm like, I am not getting on top of there. It's like a 20-foot drop down on the railroad ties. He's like, Big Sid's here. You're going to have dinner with him tonight when you get home. You got to do it. I'm like, but you did the welds. And I'm like, I know. So of course I went up there, I undid it, didn't take the tumble, came back down, but it was dicey. But I was like, okay, I did them. I feel confident because I tried to do my best. So that whole story in the beginning, that totally hit home with me. I really appreciated that, So, and hopefully some of our listeners out there can relate to that you're in family businesses and how it goes and that, you never know when you're young and how you're, like I said, subliminally affected and putting the brain, and then you come back and you realize everything was for a reason. So.
Yep, definitely. You definitely learn how hard it is when you're doing it with your hands, and then you can go out there and you got a good understanding of how hard it is to build and how challenging it is to do all those aspects. So, that's cool. You got that experience with your family, and you got it.
During the pandemic, I redid my deck. I hadn't, worked with tools, and so my son goes, Dad, why aren't you a contractor? I didn't know you could do all this stuff. I'm like, bro. I grew up in a construction family. But I haven't worked, but I took total pride in, I did the decks, I did this, I did the stairs, I did the shutters, I just did stuff around the house. But it felt really good, the accomplishment of seeing, working with your hands, building something, and then seeing the final result. So I can appreciate it. Just like the magazine, I build a magazine every month and I see the final result and people get it and they're like, wow. So it's same thing like building. You and I are in the same business. We just build different things. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's great, man. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. This was
Kyle. Have a great summer out west. Everybody out there in commercial construction, coffee talk land. Have a great rest of the summer. Stay cool, stay safe, And we'll talk to you next time. And Kyle, thank you again for the time. I appreciate it. All right.
Yep. Thank you, David.
You bet.